The Shovel Knight franchise is mostly known for its platform adventures, but is slowly starting to dig into other genres. It has already tried its hand at the fighting genre with Shovel Knight Showdown, and are now also heading into puzzle territory with Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. After watching a trailer or two of the game, I was not quite sure of how the game actually played, so I will go ahead and explain that first since it ties into all I'm about to say. The question is, if you should play it or not. The goal of every stage is to remove enough obstacles to get a goal to appear. You can move around the level as one of many characters. Enemy and items continuously fall downwards, but you can move freely in any direction. When you hit an enemy, you will first deal damage to it, and in the same exchange, the enemy will hit you back if it survives. If multiple enemies or objects are standing next to each other when you hit one of them, you will hit them all. The more enemies you defeat while chaining them like this, the more of something called a gem meter you will accumulate, which in turn will increase the amount of gems you will receive. With these, you can buy more relics in the shop that appears during some of the levels. More about this soon. All characters have their own traits. One of my favorite ones, Plague Knight, have the ability that every time he hits an enemy, he poisons them. To compensate for this, he starts off with a smaller health pool instead. With Plague Knight, you can't just go into battle swinging with your attacks, but rather attack once and then wait for one turn and then attack again so that the poison can always work its magic. Time in the game always moves along at a slow pace even when standing still, and a turn is always used every time you move in any way. Changing character can totally change how the game is played, and I'm always enjoying trying new characters out when unlocking them. The game is structured in a very arcade-like way, where you pick your character and proceed to play through all stages as that character. If you get a game over, you will get sent back to the beginning and have to start over again. You'll keep some gem currency after each playthrough that will let you unlock things like new items appearing randomly in the runs, costumes, and even shortcuts to different levels. But you don't purchase any permanent upgrades that you will always keep around. All progress is earned by you getting good at the game. This suits some players, while others could very well be turned off by the lack of that kind of progression, as you can't grind your way to success. With this arcade game-like nature comes a sprinkle of roguelikeness as well, as the earlier mentioned shop will make your different runs play out very differently from each other. In the shop you can purchase relics that can make big alterations, like stopping potions to chain with others, which gives you much better control of them, or other alterations like simply increasing your HP pool. This is a fantastic addition to the game, as it helps make playthroughs feel unique enough and motivates you to also collect more gems and play well. The amount of relics isn't at the time of release that big, so it's a fairly quick process of learning which relics work well with the different characters. The developers knew that people would like to play the game in different ways, and lets the players customize a lot without losing the ability to still earn achievements. The option I played around with the most was the stock option. I started the game with the one stock mode, but it ended up crushing me, so my runs usually ended only a few stages in. After a discussion with the developers, it turns out that the game is actually balanced to also provide a good challenge with infinite lives set. Switching to that made the game much more fun for me while starting the game out, and I'm glad that it's possible to switch settings around like this to fit the playstyle of more players. Be sure to choose what is most fun to you. In the game you have a small hub that you can traverse that mainly serves as a cute menu where you can choose your character, use shortcuts to stages, and purchase alternative costumes. There might also be a secret or two hidden away in there as well. Who knows? The story of the game is that the gang from the Shovel Knight universe has ended up in a strange puzzle box and wants to get out of it. You get some dialogue sprinkled throughout the game, but overall you're here for the gameplay. You will still surely get a chuckle or two from the conversations though. If you have played any previous Shovel Knight games before, you'll be happy to see how well everything has been translated into a puzzle game. Just like the mainline series, Tinker Knight can't do almost anything without this big robot, which he actually has to build during the stages by finding metal. King Knight has his trusty bash attack available here as well and does more damage based on distance. just like it should be. Everything feels well thought out according to the universe it all belongs to. There also are a few newcomers in here, which I obviously won't talk about in detail here. You'll have to discover those for yourself. Music-wise, Jake Kaufman is back with both remixes of beloved music tracks, and completely new ones as well. I haven't been falling off my chair by the sound of this game, but it certainly works well to listen to for many hours, as you will, since you will replay many of the levels over and over again. Overall, solid work. I'm also surprised that I still enjoy many of the tracks found in the original game after all those years. It shows what a great soundtrack it originally was, considering how many times it has been remixed up until this point in time. And before we head into the verdict section, I just want to make a note here that there do exist a versus mode in this game that I've yet to test, so it will obviously be omitted from this review. The biggest factor that will decide if you're going to enjoy this game is if you're into puzzle games or not. If you played any previous games in the series, it will definitely add to your enjoyment of this game. With that said though, this is just as good as any place to first get acquainted with the Shovel Knight gang. It isn't a game I recommend playing for hours on end, it's more of a game to pick up and play for an hour or two. At least, that's what I recommend, as I noticed myself getting frustrated when making mistakes because of having played for way too long already. I also once again really want to stress that the game can be hard on anyone that wants permanent progression in their games. You have it in one way with unlockable characters, but not with grindable stats. With all that said though, if you have even the slightest interest in puzzle games like Tetris or Puyo Puyo and want a new twist on it all, try this game out and see if it clicks with you or not. It sure did click for me, and I hope it does for you as well. If you haven't already, I would be super appreciative if you would click that subscribe button and be sure to check out my other videos as well. Also, we have a Discord that is linked down in the description. Be sure to check it out, it's fun in there. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to have a delicious day everyone.